You're listening to the world-famous White Roof Radio with cast number 677, recorded November 10th, 2021. Tonight brought to you by DonBurnside.com, MotoringStripes.com, and DetroitTune.com. So mixed up. Anyway, let's get started. Hey, everybody, it's DB in Arizona, the brand new episode of the world-famous White Roof Radio. This is number 677. Todd's here. Gabe's here. Fellas.
Yes.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, we're jumping into it really quick because we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to squeeze into the show. And Gabe was going to say something right there, and I just cut him off, and he just going to suck it for now. We have a lot of stuff going on. And we're going to let Chad in right now, too. Gabe, go ahead.
I think I just said hi.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. But we have a lot of stuff to get to because Gabe and I were in Palm Springs. Todd was at SEMA. Chad just joined us. We got to talk about some stuff for him. I made a funny joke on Slack about Arizona winter tires. We might get to. Who knows? I drove a Mini Cooper. It was awesome.
Well,
we might talk about that.
Yeah, I think we can hold up because Chad said it was going to snow in Detroit this weekend. And it's still in the 60s here, 60s and 70s.
It's in the 60s here in Chicago too, but it's still going to snow on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to talk soon. So coming up on White Roof Radio in the next few weeks, probably we're going to talk about some winter tires. So
snow tire conversation.
Gird your loins, people.
But it's going to be I mean, this is a come and go snow. I mean, the real white stuff comes. Has
anybody checked on?
I'm telling myself that because I'm putting my snow tires on in 2 weeks.
Has anybody checked on Mr. Peterson to see if he's actually switched over? Him being is he
still alive?
Groundhog Day.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still alive. Oh my god!
I think he's still alive. Yeah,
I've not heard from him, so I don't know.
Take about 3 inches back from that mic, my friend. Sounds like a little hair in it. Yeah, coming in hot. Coming in hot. Chad, I'm going to be. I'm flying into to DTW Monday morning.
Yeah, on your way to Paris?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is on my way to Prague.
Right, of course.
Oh, you're going to Prague? Is it shoe week?
You sleeping in some hostels?
Yeah, exactly. I've done it. I've done that. Final destination LA, but that's another story.
That's another story. Yeah. But we do have some news, some motoring file to get to tonight. And we're going to cover some of the things. I have a feeling some of you guys might have missed the interview that Gabe and I had with Mike Payton of Mini USA, obviously, and our good friend Pat McKenna. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then big news and whatever else happens to come up.
Big news, DB.
A lot of big news.
We've got some legitimate big news today.
And I'm going to put down right now, there was also some fake news, and I just want to make sure it's 100% clear because I was there. Gabe did not have the fastest autocross time at BMW Test Fest.
And I have the video to prove it.
He got a DQ, huh?
He got a DQ. No. He did not stop in the box.
I had the problem
there was clearly
the judge. Let's just be honest.
There was
a professional driver
stopping zone, and the judge was a professional driver.
This professional driver who, Chad, you'll appreciate this, who I had just beat his time. Just beat his time. Come on.
Gabe,
we all know what's going on there.
Were you in the box, though? Were you in the box?
I was in the box.
Not in the box. You were not in the box.
If you look at the video and you look at where the cone is, you're like, there's no way that Mini could have broken that box. No way.
Dude.
I'm gonna go with the
I got to go with the line judge, man.
Big Lebowski over the line.
I think that guy was he had something to prove. I think that's what that was. Hey, you know what? That's fine. I've won that before.
Okay.
I currently have a surfboard in my office in Chicago from winning it before. So I don't. Whatever they were giving away, I don't need it.
They surf in Chicago.
Yeah, get big waves
actually,
on the way.
They actually do.
I know.
My old neighbor did. It's November gales, man.
Yeah, fake news. It's fake news.
Speaking of November gales,
Gabe did not win.
BB, I just set you up.
I know. Speaking of the November whales, Todd, please.
Gales.
Oh, there it is. This goes back, got to be 15, 16 years for us.
Oh my God, I can't even remember.
And we are actually recording on the actual day of the
regular and Edmund Fitzgerald.
It's the Edmund Fitzgerald day.
It is.
Yes.
They have a beer about that.
They do. Not from Detroit though, sadly. But yeah, that was. What was the story of that? What was the why was that such a thing?
Because you were fascinated by it.
What, the boat went down?
It was like show 20 or something. I'm gonna have to find it now.
Well, and at the time, Gabe was like, "I've never heard that song before," and we had to play it for you.
I never had. Now I listen to it annually.
Yeah,
sure.
And there's lore about it. Google Edmund Fitzgerald. As Chad mentioned, it's also a fantastic stout.
Yeah, there you go.
And listen, we lost a lot of good men that day, and a big boat. And there's a beautiful song written about it.
At the bottom of Lake Michigan right now, right?
No, Lake Superior.
Oh, it's Lake Superior. Sorry.
Yeah.
The big one.
Let me see. That was Woofcast 21.
Wow.
If anybody wants to go hunting, I don't even know if that's still online. But that was Woofcast 21 that we talked about that.
16 years ago, we were children. We were
each about 16 years old. Too,
yeah,
right?
I know. Well, Todd and I were 18. I mean,
more
honestly,
hair.
Gabe, you were
girlfriend.
12. I definitely had more hair. That was a joke I made during our interview with Pat and Mike. I actually said, last time I saw Pat, we both had hair, which is pretty true. It's kind of funny. Yeah, Woofcast 21. If you guys want to have a good time, especially you new listeners, go back on White Roof Radio. I'll try to link that one up for you guys. See if I can find it. Also, really quick, a quick programming note. You guys should listen to the end. Thank you. Okay, what do we got? And I say that because nobody asked last week for the Black Roof Radio. So, okay, so what do we want to do? Let's start here. So let's start in chronological order. A couple weeks ago, Gabe and I met at Thermal, California, at the BMW Performance Center in Thermal, California. And BMW had, I don't know, $87 million for the inventory out there for us. And they were all programmed as get in and drive.
Yeah,
literally, get in and drive.
So it's what BMW calls Test Fest, and what that means is they allow accredited journalists to actually come out, who are invited, of course, come out and sample the wares of the brands, BMW and Mini. Oftentimes also Rolls-Royce, but that was not there this time.
And this time they actually did BMW Motorrad as well.
Motorrad was there, which is awesome. I got to actually sit on a bike, and
that was actually hilarious to watch. I watched Gabe.
I'd never done it before. It was great.
Did they let journalists ride any of the motorcycles who had motorcycle licenses?
100%. Yep.
Yes,
they had to bring their own gear. So if they were geared up, helmets, leathers, all that, they 100% let them go.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but anyway, DB, I mean, just to set it up, it's an amazing opportunity, of course, to sample the wares of this brand. But more importantly, I think for us is that we've got these cars not just on some awesome canyon roads, but also on a track.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to drive the brand new, and I still can't talk about it. The embargo is still not done.
Oh, that's
so I
right.
can't tell you what I think about it, but the 2 Series, the M240.
That M2. Oh. Can't talk about it, but
you can't even say that. You can't even say that.
Now, Todd, you gotta beep that out for me. I can't say that. It's embargoed.
Just forget you heard it, people. How's that?
The M440 Grand Coupe. Somebody's
working. If somebody's recording, it sounds like somebody's sitting in a restaurant kitchen.
I'm mute. We're doing some dishes.
It does sound like a restaurant kitchen, actually.
Yeah. Chad at the kitchen table tonight.
So the M240, the M440 Grand Coupe.
I didn't drive that one.
Which is it's fun. The embargo actually just lifted on that, so I can tell you it's great.
There you go.
It's basically a 3 Series with a hatchback, and then the other things, the sort of the bits of revelation that were amazing was the M4 X-Drive, which is all-wheel drive on the track, and the M4 two-wheel drive. Drove those back to back. Wrote something about it on Bimmer File. Go check it out. Yeah. There's a very clear and obvious difference between those two. But holy shit, the X-Drive is amazing and feels like a rear-wheel drive car. Kudos to BMW for producing a car that has that sort of essence of the brand, yet is all-wheel drive. But oh my god, the two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive competition M4 is the one you want. Okay. So much more playful, so much fun to just drift around corners. Just awesome. And then DB, I'm going to round this out because I know you want to get to the Cooper. Then DB and I took out
for like half the day, people, and not just like Gabe saying take out. But I want you guys to know we didn't just take this car out like just to go out and come back. We were out for like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
We were close to Mexico, if I recall.
We were really close to Mexico.
So we took out the most powerful. We're like, guys, most powerful BMW in the world ever, history. Where is it? Let's see the keys. Okay, there it is. So we took out the M5 CS. It's a brand new iteration of the M5, sort of the swan song of this generation, that produces 627 horsepower, 627 horsepower. You're thinking, where have I heard that number before? That's the same number from the McLaren F1. It's a lot of horsepowers.
So what's 0 to 60 on that car officially, Gabe? 3 point something?
No, it's in the twos. I think it's like 2.9. Right?
Yeah. It's like Tesla fast.
Crazy fast. I mean, Tesla's the Plaid, obviously, it's stupid fast now. It's even faster. And you can't compare. I mean, let's be honest. Like electric cars like a Tesla Plaid, Model S Plaid, I mean, it's a different league. And it's also sort of a different product. Like, you don't compare them because they're delivering such different experiences that it's hard to compare the two, other than the fact that they have seats and they have 4 tires. So the M5 CS was a monster, but I mean, the thing that was so amazing about it was actually a kind of a ballerina monster. Like it was just so docile. The feedback was so rich. It was just so rewarding to drive. And I've driven every generation of M5 ever. And I've driven every iteration of this current M5. This one is leaps and bounds more effective at delivering feedback and just all around just effective at going fast.
Not to mention it was a looker.
It was a looker. It's like a matte dark green with yellow eyes.
It had a really good sound. Oh.
Yeah, it was great. It
made me sick. I actually, for the first time in years, I never been in a car with Todd Pearson. I was car sick.
Sorry about that.
First time in years.
Well, you've never been to the Dragon with us before, DP.
Yeah, sure. I never went to the Dragon.
I was thinking the Dragon will do it to anybody.
Any one of the three of us, Chad, Gabe, or myself, could make DB sick on the Dragon.
Oh, anybody can make me sick on the Dragon. I almost made myself
sick on the Dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard not to get sick on the Dragon if you're a passenger. Somebody's really
but it was just the acceleration. And I was working the cameras. I was doing production stuff for Gabe, so I was helping him out. But it was like all the acceleration and just the G-forces. This car, Gabe's forgetting to mention that the seating arrangement in this car is 4 carbon fiber buckets.
Carbon buckets. Quad buckets, as I call them.
Quad buckets. There's 1, 2 in the front, 1, 2 in the back. This
thing is crazy. And the thing about these cars and the M4 and the M5 all had ceramic brakes, so you're pounding this thing on the track, and you're touching 150, and you're boom down to like 50, 60 miles an hour, lap after lap after lap. And the thing that's just mind bending about these cars, and I have a car with ceramics as well in the garage, and I mean it's legit, is that it defies what you expect would be the laws of physics time and time again with brakes. Like the ceramics just changed the game. And I believe that if car makers
peeling off
had put their money, rather than like, hey, let's like spend billions of dollars making like bumpers rubberized so we save ankles. If we spent billions of dollars making ceramic brakes cheaper, so like they could be in every car. How amazing would that be? How much safer would driving be too?
So much cool.
I mean, I just think that it's so crazy that has never been, like, that's not a thing that has happened in the past 20, 30 years, because it's such a huge difference. Anyway, point is, awesome time.
The M5 was amazing. Just
and then we switched over.
But then we switched over. Now, this is the part where it's actually kind of funny. I had to stop talking about this pre-show. So Gabe and I were out there, and we're driving through all these BMWs, and I go switch to the Minis, right? So let me tell you one thing you never want to do. Don't go ride in the M5 CS. Don't drive an M2 or an electric Mini, and then drive the JCW.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Start at the JCW hardtop, because it's great. And I was watching some reviews about the JCW car. Todd, just your car. I was watching some reviews on the internet, and these guys are smoking huge piles of crack, because that Mini drives freaking amazing. You get on the gas, it just happens, man. 0 to 60 is like, like 3 blinks, and you're like, okay. There was no torque steer, and there was no nothing. It was just went.
And DB, you were in an automatic, right?
Yep.
So that automatic is pretty, like, they've got it dialed in at this point.
Yeah, it was nice. That car had a fair amount of boogie. It really. But
tell me about the Cooper, though.
The car that I really care about, though, was the Cooper, because Todd, you had an F56 Cooper.
Correct. We had a 2014. It was one of the very early ones.
One of the early ones, and I had a chance to drive one of those. A listener had one. He let me drive it for a leg on one of the Mini Takes Estates.
I should say it was 2015. What was the first year that came out?
It was 14.
13, model year 14, I think.
It was model year 14.
But it only lasted for like 3 months. So
yeah. So, but that car, it was very, and I drove it, and you guys had one. The reason why you got rid of it is because it was docile. It was boring, right?
Yes.
And it was like driving the R56 Mini Cooper.
In my defense, In my defense, my other car was the 2006 GP that I kept going back and forth. So,
Sure.
That'll
that kills it. That kills it every time.
I spent a day in a 2014 or a 2015 Cooper. I had one. It was a 2018, maybe a 2017. I had as a loaner when the Roadster was in the shop once, and it was fine, just fine, right? But it wasn't the Mini, right? So if you old guys that have been around a while, like we have, you go back to the R50 days, right? My first Mini, Gabe's first Mini, and it was just a delight to drive, and it was awesome. Chuckable, it was fast, and you didn't need a sport button because
you're having a great time.
Oh, and you didn't need a sport button because you had third gear, So it was awesome.
Immediate,
and then
it was also tiring, but that's
a little bit. But that got lost in the R56 to begin with because people complained that it was too rough or didn't ride right or was too hard to drive or whatever. And that's fine. So the R56 softened up. F56 softened up even more until you get to the new one. And Gabe, I don't actually know when it changed because I let myself get out of date with Mini Cooper stuff. So let's just say probably the 2020 model. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they revised. So I mean, they've revised. They're constantly tinkering with suspension settings. They're constantly tinkering with various things. Now, they've done some stuff too to decontent those cars. Decontent is that the right word? Take content away, and so the sport button is gone.
Sport button's gone, for example,
on all that stuff. But the suspension itself is a little different, and I think, and this is what's interesting too. In my mind, and the DCT has helped. If you're getting an automatic, of course, has helped that car a great deal. I think it suits it really well, and I think ultimately, like that car feels different in 2022. Sorry, what year is it? 2021.
Yeah,
compared to
2022 model year,
2013. Like it feels different because it's retained certain things that are gone. Just totally gone from the automotive landscape. And I think that it's actually been honed to a degree. And I think that's really...
This car to me feels like a return to the R50. It didn't... You got in and you drove it and you could throw it around, great, or you didn't have to. And in that case, it was very much not like the R50. It was more like an F56. It's like, I just want to drive. Okay, cool, I'm just going to drive.
Yeah,
wait a minute, I want to have some fun now. And it's like, yeah, let's have fun. Let's go boogie. Right?
People talk about, and I love the R50. I mean, there'll never be another one, but people talk about, the R50 and no car could ever be like it again. And that's true. They actually legally can't build a car like that again. It just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Many love to, they just can't. And so, but what they've done is they've been able to find this balance between what that is or was and what modern, again, 2021 sensibilities and frankly consumers want. Now, granted, everybody listening to the show is like, what the hell is he talking about? I want an R50. That's fine. We're a little niche, Sure. So okay, that's
a little bit.
Well, and I think DB, what you were saying too is that the R50, while it was extremely fun to drive, it was a little harder to drive. It was a little more mechanical and manual. And the F56 has moved to the generation it's very easy to drive.
It's easy to drive.
Yeah, it's relaxing.
It can be. You can also drive it not relaxed. But my point is,
you
think about the R50. How much would the R50 weigh? It's a
2,600 pounds.
Yeah, it's like
2,600 pounds, right?
Yeah, right.
26. The current Cooper, the one DB's talking about, weighs 2,700 pounds.
About the same.
Think about that. Think about that. It's a bigger car,
and it's got way more power.
More power, 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds, which is faster.
Yeah.
And it's a roughly 100 pounds more. That's it. That's not bad.
And technically, this car should have roughly the same power to weight as a R53.
You're right. And so I think that's
power to weight. I mean, it's got different because the way it's close. And because the magic number on an R50 You could get R53 performance out of an R50 if you could get an R50 to 140 horsepower. I did the math.
162 foot-pound of torque is the big difference. And here's the thing that I would argue all day long. Listen, if you want to like have a project, you want to buy a car, a new Mini, and mod it right away. I'd have and I'm like, and also it's not like my only fun car. I have another car in the garage. Get a Cooper and put a suspension on it and big brakes. Done. I think that's the car in a lot of ways.
That Mini that I drove in Palm Springs with a rear sway bar, that's my track car. That's my track day car. That's my autocross car.
Just go take it to Chad.
Yeah, just do it. Anyway, for those of you who got turned off on the Cooper because it just got, I don't know, boring, you need to go look at it again. That's all I'm saying. I would drive that car all day long, twice on Sunday.
For the record, the Cooper S is 2,800 pounds, almost on the dot, current state.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, I drive the JCW all day long too. But we're going to save that. We're going to let Todd talk about it a little more because that's Todd's upcoming car, and it was awesome. I mean, I just don't know what else to say. It was just awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's my.
You're gonna love that car, dude.
I've had two of them. I mean, did you get to drive did they have the JCW Countryman there?
No,
they did. They did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't drive that one. I only drove just.
Oh no, DB.
Hardtop. No, they only had the hardtop.
They only had the
Yeah. No, the Cooper S Countryman. I mean, I just drove. I just ran out and grabbed coffee, a pack of coffee in mine. So I can tell you, Todd, every time it goes from first to second gear. Every time I hear that little, and just like the way it sounds great. And I mean, I was in my 1M all day, and it's fine, but I commuted like an hour in it. I go to the office today, and it's nice to get in that car and just effortlessly go fast, and it's fun. It's a fun car.
I'm just looking forward to the variety of I've been on the show for 16 years now talking about minis, and I've only had hard tops. I've not had a Clubman, although we have the Roadster. We've had a convertible version of it. So and everything in between. Coopers, Cooper S, GP, all of this. It's time to kind of for science. I'm doing it for science, people.
Science. To embrace the SUV concept.
I bought a JCW Countryman for the show for science. And to try and single-handedly help mini sales this year. We ordered 2 of them, of course. So,
Pat and Mike were both enthusiastic with their thank yous.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it turns out they don't need help, which is another
I know, they're doing very well. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we should talk about that actually, really.
Yeah, let's keep going on that. For those of you who didn't miss it, didn't get it, we're going to see if we have enough time, but I'm thinking we might want to include it in this episode. Gabe and I had an exclusive interview with Pat and Mike. I said Pat and Mike, should be Mike and Pat. When we were in Thermal, they were so generous to give us half an hour of their time, 30 minutes, all to ourselves. It was amazing.
Should we talk real briefly about that? So maybe there's like just real quick, like the big takeaways and that stuff to listen to.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think,
for example, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I mean, let's talk about sales for one. I think.
Yeah, sales for one.
Listen to the interview. They talk about sales and how they're down for a few reasons. I mean, one of the big reason is they don't have stock. Yeah. That's a big issue. But dealers are generally speaking doing fantastic. I mean, they're selling everything they can sell. Yeah. They are ordering cars, so there's nothing on the lot. And so
it turns out you guys are ordering cars now again, like you had to back in 2002, 2003, 2004.
It's at that level now, which is and they love it because those are customers that stick around. They love the brand. Anyway, long story short, dealers are profitable, very profitable. In the conversations I've had, third party with dealers personally, as well as the conversations I've had with Mini USA. I'm sure there's some dealers that maybe not, or there's obviously not everybody's in the same boat, but generally speaking, it's very different than it has been, and so things are really looking pretty good. And in a lot of ways, I mean, Mini and BMW for that matter, they'd love to sell less cars and make more money. They'd love to, and I always think there's a lot of people who also they just want you to tell them how much the car is. If the car is MSRP, that's fine. Then okay, that's the price.
Well, and what's great now, DB, Gabe, is that we're in a situation with constraints of supply in all brands. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're shopping for a Kia or a Hyundai or a Mini or a Subaru. Yeah. Nobody has any. So when they do finally get them, they're not making deals because they're like, we don't have to try and sell these cars because we have more demand than we have supply, and that's driving the prices up, which is good for the dealers. It's not great for the consumer, but like you said, Gabe, people are like, you know what, I need a car, I want a car, just tell me what the price is.
Just tell me the price. Right. So interesting point there.
That's the way I want to buy a car, not for nothing. That's what most people do. Day.
So really quickly though, I think Mini has weathered the chip shortage storm pretty well. I know there was an HK problem for a little while, which seems to have remedied itself. BMW and other automakers have been getting killed by it. Now, why? What's the difference? Well, for one, Minis don't have a ton of technology in them. I mean, they have some, obviously, but not like an enormous amount. BMWs right now, if you buy an X7, which is a $100,000 SUV, they've just cut the touch screen on it. Oof. Wow. So it's still got a screen, but you can only control it via the iDrive, like old school. You can't touch it. There's like no four-wheel steering. There's all these options that you just can't get anymore. And so it's a little bit of a knife fight out there for other automakers, whereas Minis has been doing okay.
Well, and the reason, and also I've seen that, and people, my first question was, are Minis going to lose the touchscreen also? But as it turns out, the BMW, they've only dropped them off of the upper end. The X5, the X6, and X7 are losing the touch screens. And that's mainly because if you've seen these, they're ginormous. It's like a 12-inch iPad on your screen.
It's a 12.1, yeah.
It's a really big screen, and I'm sure there's a different chip or whatever that's driving it that they're having issues with. Mm-hmm. And Minis don't have that with the 8.8-inch screen.
Yeah, Minis have an older, let's be honest, they have an older chip.
Right.
And which is actually now come back to like really be a beneficial thing.
Right.
So I think just, briefly when you think about the other things in that interview, I'm going to pivot really quickly, DB, just to keep us on time. The other big thing, there's two other big things I think we should talk about, and let's talk about MTTS in a second. The other big thing was a clear indication that the and we know Mini's moving to electric, right?
Yeah.
The next electric Mini we will see is an all-electric Mini Countryman.
Yep.
And that only makes sense because it's the best. It's the first and bouncing back and forth between the hardtop and the Countryman. They share almost equal sales numbers, and they flip flop back and forth. Which one's better? Which one sells more than the other one? It's been the Countryman more than the hardtop.
The hardtop, yeah. So I think it's an interesting move. It's going to be based off the new FAAR platform from BMW, detailed on Motoring File. Check it out. It's the same exact platform as the 2 Series Active Tourer, which is a terrible name. It's only sold in Europe. Key thing there is that it's going to have dramatically more range than we see in the current hardtop, which is obviously retrofitted to fit the F56 platform. What's that mean? I would suspect we're going to see range between 2 to 250, maybe more. And keep in mind, BMW is very conservative with their range versus other automakers. But also keep in mind it's a smaller car and there's a price point to hit. They can't just stack it with $80,000 worth of batteries. But I think if I was a betting man, which I'm actually not, Todd, I know that's crazy. I would bet you we'd see something around 250. It would be my guess from a range perspective. But that car is also going to be petrol powered too. So and potentially hybrid. So don't think that they're going fully electric. They're not. The other thing that we talked about is in accordance to or in relation to our wonderful listening crew here. I asked point blank, when is the manual transmission going away? And I think the answer, you listen to it yourself. Not for a while, never. But we'll save it for the interview. But there's some good stuff there. Yes, there's going to be an electric Mini. We're going to talk about it in a second, but don't worry. They're gonna be making petrol powered cars for a while.
And then the other big piece of news, we got MTTS stuff, of course. We talked about this with pre-show. We'll go a little bit longer on that one. But there was one thing, because Todd sent a couple of questions with me to ask specifically. And Mike Payton's response to Todd's questions were, so 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds isn't fast enough for Todd.
Well, it wasn't that, DB. The question, let me just in defense of it, my question specifically was...
But it was funny. His answer was funny.
Yeah, my question specifically should have been, are they going to increase the horsepower of the JCW hardtop? Not just any of the JCWs, because I don't expect them to go much beyond the 301 where they are now. But what I want to know is 301 horsepower coming to the hardtop?
Got it.
So, and they didn't say no. They just said we have no plans for any.
No, they did. Listen. So again, everybody listening, listen to the interview. Listen to what Pat McKenna said. Yeah. He's very explicit in his answer. Mm-hmm. I will leave it there.
Yes. And then the other thing that's
different than what Todd was just suggesting.
Well, no, what I'm saying is his answer, and I listened to it. I went back and I listened to it 3 times. And he says, we have no plans for any horsepower increases in the Mini line. Okay? And so I get that. They're not going to change the horsepower. But I'm like, the Countryman and the Clubman have 301. They're not changing the horsepower. Are they just going to put that same engine?
Okay, so I'm gonna add something to this, like it's the exact same thing I got when I saw Bob Dylan live.
Okay,
from the front row of a tiny theater, which is facial context. Meaning he said that in a way which made me believe that he didn't want to tell you. It's like he wasn't happy. He didn't want to say it, but this is what's going to happen. He was like, you know what I mean? Like he knew he was disappointing us when he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but I turned it around. I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong actually, but I don't know if I.
Yeah.
I turned it around and I got everybody excited because my first experience driving any electric car was actually in a Mini Cooper on that day.
On a racetrack, by the way.
On a racetrack, no less. And now would be really
that's a great way to start.
Talk about that because I really enjoyed that car a lot.
Yeah,
because it was like awesome. Because if I'm honest, it was like driving a Mini, right? It's like, oh, it's like driving a Mini. It doesn't make any noise. Okay, with an insane amount of torque, as you can imagine.
So,
and the full regenerative braking, it stops like a golf cart doing it 5 miles an hour. Right?
My dream,
insane.
Yeah, my dream daily driver as a Mini is that car with 250 miles of range. I mean.
Which is funny, Gabe, and you mentioned that 250 miles of range, and that's pretty much what the standard Model 3 gets, is it not? Or are they up to like
240 or something?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, 260.
But that's and that's just me. Like that's what I need personally out of it because I do a fair amount of driving that requires that. But I
just can't have a third car in my garage at this time, so it would have to be the second car, like my car. And that car would actually pretty good. I could use that car now.
Well, and
I don't know how it's going to handle in Arizona summer.
Okay, well, and I also want to follow up too here for anybody who hasn't heard it or it's too time consuming, is the most interesting thing is for the longest time we've been told by BMW themselves that by 2025 they were going to stop making gas-powered cars. And they've now backpedaled on that. And
no, that's not true. They said they were going to release the last new model with a petrol-powered engine in 25.
Okay, so a lot of
they're
people
going to make them into the early 30s.
Yeah, a lot of people interpreted that as like the last gas-power Mini would be made in 2025, which is only 2 years away. Well, that's not the case because they said it's probably going to be closer to 10 years that you'll still be able to buy a gas-powered, or as you know, they didn't say this, Gabe, but you've mentioned it before. They're going to be mild hybrids with the technology that BMW's been using for a while now. But anyway, I thought that was interesting because they also alluded to the fact that in the U.S., we have an infrastructure issue for electric cars. And Mini has always touted themselves as an urban brand. And I think that's an issue with all electric car companies at this point, especially the cars with a small range. Now, if you have a Tesla that's getting 400 miles to a charge, it's not as big a deal as an urban car because you don't feel the need to drive it somewhere and charge it immediately and then charge it overnight and everything, because most people that live in urban areas don't have access to a charger overnight. They don't have, they're living downtown and they're parking in a parking garage and there just aren't enough plug-ins to charge these things. So I think range is an issue and infrastructure is an issue that's going to stretch this out in the U.S. specifically. And I know there's people living in other parts of the world who aren't experiencing issues. They've really kind of thought about this beyond the U.S. right now, but we're kind of oil driven. We love driving in dead dinosaurs. So I think it was interesting in their response that we're probably looking at another 10 years of petrol powered cars.
Yeah.
But I kind of see electric cars almost like, if your cell phone gets below 30%, you're like, okay, I need to find a charger and get this charger.
Yeah, you're right.
Again,
yeah, it's exactly the same.
That's how I mean, I struggle if I get to 60. I mean,
well, yeah,
phone. I'm not
quite that low, but
I'm a maniac.
You get to a panic when you're like, oh my God, I'm at this percentage rate, and whatever that percentage rate is, and it could be 10, it could be 6, it could be 30. That's what's going to happen with cars exactly the same way. It's like, okay, I'm at 30%. I need to go plug in, and I think it's this happen.
To me, like the biggest thing that people like don't, and I mean this is a longer conversation. We should probably pivot, but like the thing that people don't think about that is the critical thing in my book is the speed of charging for these cars. And that's where the Mini's okay. It's pretty good. But other cars like Porsche and Audi and their 800-volt systems, and Hyundai and Kia, actually, not Tesla, have figured this out with 800-volt systems, is like they can charge like an enormous amount of that battery in like 10, 12 minutes.
Well, and
that's the difference.
There was an article in Bloomberg Business today, just today, in fact, that I read, that I think it was GM that kind of they had now partnered with a company to develop a charging system anyway, and they called it a cable, which still doesn't make any sense to me, but that was capable of charging an electric car in about the time it took you to fill up with a tank of gas.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and so they're working on that. And I think that's
heard about that.
That's the line to cross. As soon as we cross that line, that you can pull in, go get yourself your big gulp, and then while you're filling up your 87 ounces of Diet Coke, your car's out there charging, and by the time you pay for it and you come out, you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not quite well. Yeah, I mean, I can't.
It's not going to be that fast.
I worked with a said company, so I can't say a ton, but it's not quite like that, but it's not that far off. I mean, that's obviously the future. So that's why I say, like, it's the time to charge. That's actually the thing we don't talk about that we actually need more than anything. Let's just pretend there's lots of chargers out there. In a few years, there's going to be people like tow trucks roaming city, like urban areas
with chargers,
looking to make $20 to charge your car. Like literally, they're like, you need a charge, like, at stoplight, like, oh, here you go, here's 90 seconds for like 5 miles.
And there's an opportunity for companies, because right now, how many of us, and raise your hand here, how many multiple phone chargers do you have that are like the battery packs?
I've got one of those. Yeah.
I have 5 or 6. 30. I have 5 or 6 where you can carry around with you. So when your phone gets low, you're like, oh, plug this in. It's in my backpack.
I'm staring at 3 right now.
Yeah, you're like, I can get an extra 10 minutes or I can get an extra 20 minutes. So you think there's something for this for cars, like let's say it's backpack sized, that you can toss in the trunk or whatever and carry with you. And like, ooh, this is an emergency.
But you know
case.
What's funny, Todd,
and before this, Gabe, before this actually dives into like this giant conversation about electric cars, I just want to reel us back to like 2021 really quick. And I want to mention that if you look at the electric car market in the United States or anywhere on the planet, and you look at something that most people can actually afford, the Mini's the car you're going to want.
That's it.
Yeah, look at all the rest of them.
That's it.
Number one, they're hideous. The Nissan Leaf, what?
Ugly.
Who thought that was a good design idea?
It looks like crap, but I'll tell you though, like the thing, I mean, it drives like crap too, but
it drives like crap too.
It's got a ton of range for a cheap amount of money.
It does have a ton of range, but it's horrible. And if you want a car that at least that doesn't look horrible and goes like stink, and you're going to have a little short range, but your commute's less than 50 miles a day anyway. Let's look at the Mini, $30,000.
Last thing I'll say, I agree. Last thing I'll say is if we want a hint of the future of this technology, look at your phone.
Yeah.
Think about how like the iPhones, we talk about iPhones, how much more the iPhones and new Android devices, like nice, like premium Android devices last, and how quick they can charge. And I think that's where we'll head. Anyway, we've got to talk about the next generation electric Mini, since we're talking about this.
This absolutely. Go. Yes.
So I got so Mini Mini actually kind of shocked all of us and released photos of this car to outlets. I'm happy to say Motorfile was one of them, and spoke very like openly about some of it, about the electric Mini. This is a one of the new products that Mini will be coming out with in the next 2 years. We've talked about this again. Check out Motorfile, detailed there. There's going to be the reality is there's going to be 2 different Mini hatchbacks coming. One that is petrol powered, built in Oxford. It will be very like subtly based on the F56. You'll never know, but it will be. And there will be an entirely new car built from the ground up on a skateboard chassis that is fully electric, dedicated to be electric, built in China. Mm-hmm. Both those cars will, from what I have heard, will be very, very close in styling, like identical in a lot of ways. Interior will be different to a degree because they run different technology. But more or less, you're going to be choosing between a petrol and electric. The electric will be slightly smaller, a little bit here and there. And you can see the photos. You can see that the car is a little bit smaller, especially the front overhang. But that's the car they showed. And so really, really interesting they did that. Obviously, this is a car that's been built from the ground up with a charging system, platform that will allow for quicker charging. We'll have, like I said, I'm hoping 250 range, and it will be, it will be the first all new Mini in quite a while, which is in my book super exciting.
250 miles of range would put that car in my garage.
Yeah, and maybe it won't hit that mark, but that's what I'm hoping. So a couple of things on that. One interesting thing about this, I mean, number one, check out the images on Motorfile, and you'll sort of see the general silhouette. Evolutionary for sure, although the interior,
that's linked up in the show notes.
It's going to be a little bit smaller though.
Yep.
If you look closely, and I also call out on Motorfile some of the things that we've kind of determined that are like interesting and different. The rear, for instance, funky, like really different,
real funky, like, really different.
There's like some like they've made it look with camouflage like the current car, but it is clearly camouflage. So, interesting to note that. But the shape of it and the sort of like the rear overhang is tiny. It's like
it's really flat on the back too, where the existing car, and I know this because I'm very intimate.
You're back there all the time. Yeah,
I've wrapped enough of these cars. Those corners, and I look at every car I see is like, what would it be like to wrap that car? And so every sharp, deep recess and angle, and I'm like, so these things, like you said, Gabe, they really stand out to me, especially the back end of this car. How incredibly flat it is, like kind of like,
but it looks like the R50 to me. So.
Yeah, it very much does. The R50 had a very shallow bumper, although it still had a little bit of a flat spot there. But you can see the lack of the shelf, if you will, on the rear bumper. Yep. It's just not there anymore.
And also funky in the rear, like those cut lines. Everybody was like, when I talked about the Aura Cat and how there's going to be a lot of similarities in that car and this car. Look at the Aura Cat and its rear hatch, and look at this rear hatch. Tell me there aren't distinctive similarities.
Yeah,
like legit. Like it's not like a normal hatchback. They're both odd.
No, and it's an aerodynamic thing too that's been around since, I want to say one of the very first ones. It's kind of along the lines of the Honda Civics from the late 90s. The CRX did it in a Civic that was very squared off in the back, and that's it's an aerodynamic
I'm talking about the cut lines. I'm talking about the cut lines of the hatch.
Oh, okay, that are in there?
Yeah, very specifically.
Interesting.
That is... in fact, you know what? I don't actually have a photo of it on my phone, but just Google Aura Cat.
Yeah.
Photos after you go to Motorfile and click on ads. But in all seriousness, though, like it's just kind of funky, and so I think what I'm excited for this. I mean, I'm excited. Like DB said, like I love manual transmissions. We love the sound of these petrol powered engines. But man, these electric Minis are awesome. They feel like Minis. And this seems like it's going to be amazing. The thing that's going to be really interesting is, of course, the tariffs that were thrown on electric cars made in China by we don't talk about these things in the show, but by a
previous administration
that politics aside, that happened, and so that may be rescinded. It may not. I don't know, but that is going to make the profitability of that bringing that car to the United States
difficult,
questionable.
Yeah.
And so that's a hurdle. I know that Mini and BMW
that's one of those things
are dedicated to bringing that car over because they know it's the future.
Right, but it's going to be. If they have to bring it over at $50,000, they're not gonna. I don't think they would.
Yeah, they're figuring it out right now. They want dealers to take a cut. Mini will take a cut. Like they're trying to find a way, and we'll see what happens.
And can I say what's going to be the most interesting thing about electric cars too is that a lot of cars now, car companies, they make money on service and parts and maintenance in the long run there. And I think electric cars are going to have less service and less maintenance to be done. I mean,
totally.
I mean, Chad, this is going to eat into businesses like you, Chad, in that you're going to be modding the cars, but there's not much maintenance on a no gear electric motor.
Well, I've thought about that over and over and over again about, how are we going to service some of these cars that don't have a vacuum system, which have major vacuum leaks.
Right.
A fuel system that can have vacuum leaks and stuff like that. And so now we're doing some brake pads. We're doing some shocks because those are still going to be around. We'll have to figure out how to switch out batteries or something along that lines. But yes,
fans.
The actual service part of cars, because BMW can't figure out motor mounts or thermostats to save their life. Those things are going to be gone.
Yeah,
you might still have motor mounts, Chad. Well, I wouldn't put that one out yet.
You've got a while. It's a long lead on that one.
Wiper blade, Chad. You're going to specialize in wiper blades on electric cars.
and you know what? It's okay because by the time electric cars are going to be like really hardcore, I'll be retired.
Yeah,
I'll be.
There won't be a problem.
Out. Yeah. My building will be a pot producing hardcore
solar powered.
Yeah,
Chad's going to be retired
machine.
Yeah, retired listening to.
And just to be clear, Chad's in Michigan where wheat is growing like
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally across the street from me is a legal growing area.
But I'm going to be, to give you an example, I'm going to be the guy at the retirement hall playing bingo, making sure that 9 Inch Nails is playing on the screen.
Okay, at least it's not Grateful Dead. At least it's not Grateful Dead.
And Chad's gonna be the guy when he retires playing bingo, and he's gonna be wanting to make sure that it's all punk all day, all night, nothing but. Chad's gonna be like 9 years old, listening to punk.
Bad Religion forever.
So that's Chad.
Yeah, I mean, I have thought about these things. I have looked into where do we need to go? How do we stay relevant? How do we not become
a quick charger?
I don't want to be the dinosaur. But at the same time, like, will this really be what I need to do for forever? That's going to be up to the next guy that says, hey, you know what? Detroit Tune's got his name. I want to buy this. All right, that's good. Well, you can take this on and we'll go to the next level.
And not only that, but I'm talking about the future of actual car dealers.
Oh yeah.
Once we go electric, because a lot of and Tesla tried to do this is direct to market, direct to customer, direct to consumer, if you will, the DTC in marketing speak of products, and we could end up there to where you really don't need a dealer anymore. You really don't need a service department. You might need a small one, but it's not going to be a profit center like it was before. And there's going to be a long fight to get to that point. But I think we're heading there.
There are so many things that, as far as the dealer level service goes, that is going to be so much different throughout the years. Just the fact of all of these Corvettes that have come back with like, oh, the tech did this and it caught it on my dash cam.
Right.
All of that is going to change how we do business forever. I get into a car and I was like, well, it's got this dash cam. I'm just going to unplug this. Not that we're doing anything weird, but like, I don't want anything to possibly come back up because I need to know whether your car is performing to the to the way you want it to or not, because you can be like, it's doing this weird thing, and I can go out and floor it, and all of a sudden it gets misfires because it just needs spark plugs. But it never gave me a check engine light because, hey, I'm getting misfire because you never drove the car hard enough. But that could come back in a dash cam video and be like, well, he was abusing my car. It's like, well, no, that's not really what it is. But
the dash cam videos.
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that is. Yep. Hey, really quick, Gabe's got to leave, so we're going to say goodbye to Gabe. Thanks for joining us as always. Do make sure that you're getting your Mini Cooper news from motoringfile.com. Also, make sure you're getting your BMW news from BimmerFile.com. I've got links to everything that we've talked about in the show notes. And thanks, Gabe. Appreciate it.
Yeah, more to talk about. More to talk about soon. We'll be back talking about that stuff. So Gabe will talk to you next time.
And Gabe also, cheaters never prosper. Have a good night.
I say that to the guy who disqualified me. That's what I say.
All right. Okay, Gabe, thanks. Good night.
I'm going to go practice on my sim. Good night.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, we love harassing Gabe about getting disqualified on the autocross course.
And the guy went and he looked. He was a foot. He was a foot out of the box.
Hey, rules are rules, man.
He wasn't just like a tire out of the box. He was it was the box, and then it was almost to like the beginning of the door.
That's two patches, two like contact patches of an actual tire.
Yeah.
Yes, he was very much out of the box.
Yeah, rules are rules.
It was a fast time. Gabe's got mad skills. So it was
Gabe
cool to
never.
watch.
Yeah, he's a good driver, but he never wants to lose. Never.
On a technicality too. That's like
something else happened. The tire pressure wasn't right.
But that electric Mini is going to be unfreaking stoppable on the autocross course. I'm not kidding. I'm not even making that up. I drove that car, and then I drove the JCW, and I wanted to drive the electric Mini again.
And so, DB, what I think is interesting is that what both Pat McKenna and Mike Payton alluded to was that the next thing coming is going to be an electric Countryman, which is going to be all-wheel drive, which is going to be a whole new ball game. Whole new ball game.
Whole new ball game.
So
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I know there's many, multiple motors, for the Tesla, and it really improves the performance of the car. So I'm looking forward to the future for Mini, especially when they go electric. I mean, I'm going to miss gasoline power engines, and the discussion we just had with Chad about what's the future of business and things like that. It's going to be Chad. We got 10 years to figure out, what's going to happen when our dealers go away and there's no more cars to maintain. There's going to be people still doing vintage cars for a very long time.
Very long time.
And Chad, tell me this: like the average car you see is probably 10 years old or more, don't you think?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, overall, yes. I have a lot of older cars. We still have a huge R53, family that like I'm going to keep this going for forever. We have a lot of R56 cars, but we're also doing a lot of the F56 cars now, and it's getting there. But we do see a lot of different things going on with all of the different lines. And back to the autocross question, it's like, how are autocrosses even going to classify an electric car to be able to sanction into a car class that has
it'll just have to be a level playing field, like only electrics go against each other and that kind of thing.
It's going to have to be something along that lines, but.
Right. Well, and you figure if they're going to make gas powered cars for another 10 years, so you've got 30 more years, Chad. Yeah, we'll be retired by then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we are seeing all of that stuff coming up now, and I'm seeing it in all of the automotive ads that shop talk now and whatever you want to call it. We're seeing all of that stuff come to the forefront. I'm sure you saw it at SEMA, and all of these things. And how are these things going to affect, car sales, coming forward? And it's hard now because you can't find any cars, but you can still buy some electric cars and you can still see some of these things. And this is the forefront of the people that want to blaze trails, that have the money to do so and want to be able to help with that. But it's going to take a long time to trickle down to the average consumer or below average consumer for a long time.
And I
gas
know
isn't going away.
Yeah, and what we don't want to be is stuck with our pants down going, oh, yeah, we manufacture record needles. And then CDs come along and nobody buys records anymore, like overnight. Literally overnight.
And you had to wait 30 years to start selling your record needles again.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
And realistically, the only thing that really died off in that industry is cassette tapes.
Yeah. Completely.
The last thing from the interview that we wanted to touch on, and Gabe left, so that's fine. He doesn't need this. Was Mini Takes the States, right? So we got confirmation from Pat and Mike that that's still happening, July 9th through the 17th, right? We all knew this already. I know Facebook's just been freaking out about Mini Takes the States. What we didn't know is who's actually going to be there. So, Todd, you're going to tell me the names because I suck at the names.
Oliver Halmer, who's the head of design for Mini, and Bern Korber.
They're going to have him out. Yep.
Bern Korber, who's the head of Mini Global. So they're going to they're supposed to, at least scheduled to at this point, make an appearance
they're scheduled
at Mini
to be there.
And that's the first I've heard of that. And we love special guests at Mini Takes the States. Going back to the first time. I don't even know if it was the first time we met Ronno, because I think we met him at
we met him at Mini United
in 2000. Good Lord, 7.
Ooh, 2007, dude.
2007.
Yikes. Oh my God.
Our first time in Europe. So
yes.
But anyway,
that was amazing. That was an amazing trip. So anyway, that's happening. It's nice to know we're going to have some special guests. Of course, we're going to have all the information about Mini Takes the States as it happens. I was also able to have conversations that I can't really speak to further about the National Mini Club, and there's going to be some really cool stuff happening with that very soon.
Yeah.
So I was just stuff. And then the last thing that I did is I said hi to the Michelin people, and I said my dad only runs Michelin tires on his cars, and they said thank him for us.
Pilot hence the Pilot Supersport post.
Hence the Pilot Supersport.
Slack
we were talking. We were talking about this at Slack because we're cold weather, and I said, "Oh, here is the Arizona version of a cold weather tire, and it's Michelin Pilot Sport."
And I want to meet the person paying $551 for a Pilot Supersport
for one of those.
Although it's got to be 23. It's got to be a 23.
It's rear tires for a new vet. Come on.
Yeah, it's a 23 12-inch width tire.
We only make 4 a year.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, honestly, who puts those on their cars? Good grief. Yeah. Anyway, that was a great event. It was great to drive all these cars. Todd, I'm so stoked for your new Minis. I really am, because it's nice. This is weird. This never happened to me, but I drove your car before you did.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You mean the 2022 JCW?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one still
nice.
We just got a production.
Did you get all the digital stuff, like the digital dash and the heads up and all that stuff?
In the Countryman, yes, but in the hardtop JCW, no. We got the Super Leggera JCW.
Oh, Super Leggera JCW and the hardtop, got it. But
we stripped that thing down.
Right, but the Countryman's got the automatic and all the digital this, that, and the other things.
Yes, the Countryman.
Dude, it is so nice.
Self-parking, the whole 9.
Oh, you know what? You're going to get – Dee's going to drive that, and she'd be like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah, I know.
I'm good. Okay.
We'll fight over who gets to drive the Super
That'll
Leggera.
Be the car. That'll be the car. Oh, you're going to want to drive all the time because you'll never want to drive yours.
I know. We'll have the Polar Extremes at JCW.
But that hardtop, man, just like, wow.
Yeah,
amazing. It really was. I mean, all the cars were super amazing, and you can't compare. It's really unfair to compare a JCW to even an M2, the new M2, but we can't talk about and tell you how awesome it was. But oh my god, dude, I put on the track.
Yeah,
holy shit.
It's funny. I am experiencing the excitement of new cars again, because I found out that my Countryman JCW is on a boat. It should be here in the U.S. within the next week to 10 days.
Oh, so exciting.
And the hardtop is going into production next week.
Outstanding.
Next week. So, and it's probably going to be...
You might have that before the end of the year, maybe?
Might be. No. We're thinking it's going to be January, because the plant and everything, everybody at Mini shuts down the last week of December, and things slow down, and... You got the holidays, and it's the same everywhere. So, anyway.
I'm going to tell you that 2022 hardtop, that's a damn fine automobile, sir. Well played. Well,
it's not that much different than my 19. It's got a little more digital on the displays. You get the nice over the... What did you think of the new tack, for lack of a better...
It was okay.
The new oval display above
it. The oval, the whole digital, which is really cool, but it would take some getting used to. But once you're used to it, it's like going, oh yeah, this is cool.
I like
it.
The
new Mini Connected, whatever they call it now, is, it was okay. The design choice they've used for that, it's just like, well, this is very 2012, right? Yep. I mean, it was cool, but it's just like, well, this kind of looks like, what was it, Music Match Player?
Yeah, just put CarPlay on and leave it.
Just put CarPlay on and leave it alone. Don't worry about it. But the rest of it was brilliant, and it was nice, and it made a good sound. It made it sound like a BMW, and it was quiet, and it drove nice. If you just want to drive, it just drives. Every JCW had ever driven in before, like that Roadster or any of the R56 JCWs, they're always real twitchy. It's like, no, drive me, right? And it was tiring to me. This car didn't do that.
It just goes.
So it just goes. You're just gonna drive to the shops? Okay, great. Here we go. Blah blah blah. You wanna go thrash it through the canyons? Great, we can do that too. Here we go. Button up. Right,
but you can get after driving really a DB. Nice. After driving it, I think maybe you can understand. And from what you said, when you went from of course, you went from an M5 with 650 horsepower, but you see why after driving a JCW so long, it's so comfortable and so smooth that I want more horsepower because it just doesn't feel very fast.
If that car felt like the electric Mini,
yes.
If that car felt like the M2 with its 300 and some odd horsepower, right? Then you'd be all, oh, okay, that's where that car goes.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't they do that just with the Clubman once in just 1 year? Just do it the Clubman, JCW Clubman. give it 350 horsepower, and say here. And only sell it to you have to have like an invitation, right? It's like, Tom, here, there's your car.
Well, DB,
you want one DB here?
It's called the GP. They did, and it's called the GP. So,
oh no, yeah. Anyway, it was just you honestly don't ever do that though. Don't drive an M car than a JCW because it's just, and then it's like going, as Gabe said during pre-show, the JCW just felt cute.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Chad had some experience. Nice. Chad had some experience with the new F56 of 2022 this past week, which we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks because we've run out of time. But I think it's interesting, and Chad, I want to talk for a moment when we're done offline about your concept of the open space to the radiator on this car.
Yes, we're definitely going to talk about that on an upcoming show too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Otherwise, we do have to be done because we had a long show. So I want to take a minute. I want to redirect you guys back to the previous episode, as it's too long to include here today, and that was Woofcast number 600 and Woofcast number 21. Nope. You can go back and listen to that one too. It is there. I thought I lost it to the great server outage of 2009, but I do have a copy of Woofcast 21. It will be linked up in the show notes. Brand new player and everything. Go back, listen to Woofcast 676. If you did listen to it and you had a hard time listening to it, listen to it again. Maybe delete it out of your feed and re-download it, as I fixed that. And that way you can catch that interview that Gabe and I did with Mike Payton and Pat McKenna.
And I think if you don't, we'll Thanksgiving's coming up, and we may break it up.
We'll stick that out by itself.
Yeah, we'll give you an opportunity over Thanksgiving to enjoy that.
So check that out. I'll put that in the feed all by itself. It's definitely worth the time. It was just, those guys were so sweet to give us that much time. They didn't give anybody else that much time the entire day, right? They gave the Mini Cooper guys, they gave a half an hour of their day just to us, and it was really super awesome, and it was a great interview. If you guys missed it, you really need to go back and listen to it. It was really amazing. I'm going to link that up in the show notes in case you missed it. And like I said, I fixed the audio problems. We recorded with iPhones, so I did the best I could. There's that. And number two, before I talk money and other things, if you want to hear Black Roof Radio, you need to message me on Twitter that you want to listen to Black Roof Radio. I'm telling you now, because nobody did last episode. One person did. Neil did. Hey, thanks, bud. You rock. If you want it, you got to ping me. You guys know how to get me on Twitter. I'm not going to remind you. Any of my Twitter accounts. Ping me on Twitter, and I will send you a link. Done. We'll see how this works this time, because it was one listener from the last episode. Just saying.
You get unfiltered. And basically, if anybody wonders,
it was good Apple talk this week.
Well, I know. If anybody wonders what Black Roof Radio is, it's unfiltered us.
Yeah, we don't edit, and there might be curse bombs.
There might be,
and it was a joke because we used to do like real Black Roof Radio when we're on the road, like me Texas States with drunk people and Todd's recorder in his back pocket, and it's really funny to listen to 10 years later, or like MTTS stuff, or Amviv stuff.
I don't know. I've burned most of it by now because it's incriminating at this point.
Some really good stuff. Like what does it take to make Ronald laugh so hard in an elevator he almost falls over? Stuff like that.
Yep.
That's Black Roof Radio. The true Black Roof Radio, very few people get access to. This stuff, you guys get access to it, and that's fun. But I'm not charging you for it anymore. Now your charge is you have to ask me for it. You have to ask me on Twitter. Go figure it out. If you don't know how to do Twitter and you want it that bad,
you'll figure it out.
Figure it out. All right. Let's pay some bills. Well, we're not really paying bills, but because this is currently sponsored by me and Todd with his time for free, and Chad with his time for free. So I want to remind you guys about motoringstripes.com because Christmas, Mini Cooper Christmas is coming up. Motoringstripes.com, talking stuffers, check. Motoringstripes.com. You're going to get the mini badges to replace your worn out ones on your R50 and R53. And that's like $6. Get it. You want the Wire Roof Radio Sunroof Delete Kit because you live west of the Rockies and you have a sunroof and you want air conditioning to work in the summertime. Done. Just go over to motoringstripes.com. Get it. Pay attention for your 2022 Mini Takes Estates graphics. Todd's going to have them probably before anybody else because he'll probably be the official maker again. Probably. We'll see, but he'll have them. Don't worry about that. And then anything else that you want to make your Mini cooler because blank is boring. Also, Christmas, Detroit Tuned. DetroitTuned.com. Right, Chad? We're sending them over there because Chad's doing bang up shipping business with all the stuff that he has in stock, right? And I know you're trying hard to keep all your stuff in stock, and you're doing the best you can. But when you guys are looking for stuff, for Mini Cooper stuff for Christmas, make sure Detroit Tune is on your cycle of websites to go through. Detroit Tuned, Out Motoring, Craven Speed, right? That's where you guys go in probably that order, right? You can go to the other guys too, but let's just start with Detroit Tune, outmotoring.com, Craven Speed. Honestly, just go to Detroit Tune. Get everything you need right there. Done and done. Boom. And if you live 5 hours from the shop, Chad does your service anyway. I mean, honestly, just pick up something next time you're there.
And the dog approved.
Tucker approved right there.
I love it. That was perfect timing, DB.
That was perfect timing. My dog's, he's a little shithead sometimes, but you know what? Usually the timing's right on. I don't have anything else. Did anybody else have anything else? We didn't get to talk about SEMA. Todd, what was SEMA?
It was sparse. Chad, tell your girlfriend I'm really sorry we missed her. We tried.
Yes. She was like, I didn't see Todd. I was like, yeah, he tried.
We tried. we had the guy call. We had her boss call and track her down, and we never made it back to where she was. So
it's okay.
Anyway, yeah,
it was a good time.
It was a good time in Vegas.
Yeah, it was a good. We had a good time in Vegas too. It was a little subdued. Things were kind of down. Like it wasn't crowded. I don't think SEMA was anywhere near as crowded as I've seen it in the past. There were still a lot of people there, but
crazy.
Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that coming up and cover a little bit because I didn't post very many pictures. There wasn't a lot to see, but it wasn't the truck show, so thank God it wasn't the
right. And Gabe and I just had to do our brain dump from the test fest anyway, so it worked out really well. That SEMA was kind of a dud, I guess.
Yeah, it was just it was kind of like getting its sea legs again. It's been gone for 2 years, so.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Then with that, I think we're going to go ahead and finish up. One more thing I want to remind you guys. We are coming up on the silly season, as you guys know, in the United States. Thanksgiving's in a couple weeks, and we have Christmas coming up after that, post New Year's. I'll get something in the feed for you guys for Thanksgiving, but this will probably be the only real show for November. We might sneak another one in if we can, but don't count on it. For sure, I'm going to repost that interview for you guys. We'll get that in. And then December, we'll get you a couple shows as well if we can. But just keep in mind, crazy season, all the things, right? Right.
Spend time with your families.
Yeah, go spend time with your families.
I spend time with my liquor store, my local liquor store.
the Gin R Us.
Yeah. Well, and then that allows me to spend time. That allows me to spend time with my family.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you don't forget and try to. You know what I need to do, Todd, and this got me thinking about this. Is I'm usually pretty good about being local. I'm a local guy, right? I like going to local shops, local restaurants. I am Mr. Local, right? Except when I go to a liquor store. I go to Total Wine.
Because
I'm a douchebag, apparently.
That's okay.
I don't have a good local. Like, there's one in Texas. I follow these guys. I forgot the name. I follow these guys on Instagram. Some little podunk town in Texas with like the dopest liquor store on the planet, right? And it's like in an old grain mill or something, and they have all the craft boozes that you can imagine and craft beer, and it's just like, oh my god, this is an amazing shop. And they have like probably 10 customers a day. It's one of those, and it's like, why can't that be here?
Well, there you go. If you know someplace in the Phoenix area, send DB a message.
I know where they're gonna send me, and it's too far to drive, and that's fine.
Whatever. It's too far to drive.
I'll go, and I'll report back. I will go.
Make it an adventure, man. You talk about you don't get to drive your Mini anymore, so make it an adventure.
We had a customer yesterday. I was like, "You guys are really far away." I was like, "Where are you at?" And he told me, and it's like, "You're less than an hour away." And I'm like, I have a car from New Jersey here and a car from Georgia right now here.
There you go.
Like, oh. I'm like, so
suck it up, Buttercup.
Your 45-minute drive is okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
And your weather never sucks. So, like, you can drive anywhere and just be just fine.
Yeah, I'm just fine. It'll be just fine. It's fine. Anyway, we are done for the night, gang. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for bugging me on Twitter to get a copy of Black Earth Radio. But we are done. So that makes us the time of the show where I like to make the funny clicking sound. And then I say, questions, comments, or concerns, you can go ahead and click back over to whiteroofradio.com. There you can leave a note in the show notes. You can also email us, feedback@whiteroofradio.com. But until next time, gang, this is DB. I'm done.
Cheers.
See ya.